Now, the next step to do is we have read our summary, we understand the text. Now we have to do what the instruction wants us to do. As parents, now what we need to do is, let's go back and refresh with this instruction that we have to deal with. That as parents, we need to write down 7 points that we can do to stop bullying from happening at our schools. Now, if you look at the first paragraph, where we need to find anything that we can get that deals exactly with what parents can do to stop bullying rather from happening at schools. Bullying is common in schools where there are large groups of children. If you look at this, you will realize that this is not exactly what we want you to end up doing. Now the next thing that we need to do is we must get something that says something about our parents. If you look at the first paragraph and you want to try to find that out, teachers cannot always maintain there's nothing about parents there. It takes varying forms and stuff like that. There is an explanation about bullying. And when you look at this, you might realize that in the first paragraph, you might not have something to say. You look at the second paragraph, and the second paragraph might have something. Remember, it's based on what you're reading, what you're making out of what you're reading. Does it really answer the question? We must write, remember, 7 points of no more than 70 words on what parents can do to stop bullying from happening at schools. Bullies are not always boys. Girls bully other girls, and boys and girls can also be violent, but often their bullying is more psychological, like spreading stories and ruining other girls' reputations. Do we still have anything that parents can do about this here? No. Let's look further down. Often, children complain or don't like to complain about being bullied because they have already been shamed and humiliated. Isn't this very familiar with you? It is, of course. We were once young. It has happened to us. Surely, it is happening to you. But there's one thing that parents need to do here. Let's have a look at this. Parents must be sensitive to any change of behavior in their children. Now we have our first point. Look, it's not always that in a text given for summary, you might get the first point in the first paragraph. Look how different this one is. We have gone 2 paragraphs, we still don't get anything that parents have to deal with. But if you look at the third paragraph, now we can see that parents must be sensitive to any change of behavior in their children. In other words, parents must look out for some signs in terms of behavior from their children that would make them maybe to keep quiet, maybe to feel humiliated, maybe signs that would show the parent that my child is often ashamed of talking. That is our first point. Now the next point is we must look for something else that parents need to do. Now we have the best way for parents to protect their children or children against bullying is to teach them self-confidence. You see that? Now, this is what parents can do for their children in order to deal with bullying at schools. Teach them self-confidence. If a child is not confident bully, a child will never be able to deal with any challenge that they come across in life. True. Would you if you're not confident?
Definitely not.
I can see it from your face. But he is very confident. I know him. And I know some of you are confident. There are those of you who are not confident. Talk to your parents. They will help you. This article, this whole passage is teaching us about that. The next thing that we need to learn to do again is what should parents do again to encourage their children to deal with such things. Now the problem is, if a child does not have self-confidence, they are more likely to become victims of bullies. Now, parents can help children who lack social skills by enrolling them in activities outside school. These activities, we call them extramural activities. This is where a child can give out their potential. And if children can take out and show out their potential, people would actually see that they believe in themselves. And once you believe in yourself, you can deal with any challenge, you can deal with any situation. Now, this is the third point, where we see what parents can do to help their children against bullying. Now, if we go further in our text, we have to look at other things that parents can still do if they have to deal with us. Now, what we need to do is, what should parents do? Do your parents always listen when you talk to them? Are you afraid of your father? Or are you afraid of your mother? Are there hojas in the family? Once you cannot have somebody to be able to talk to you, you will never be able to tell your parents what your concerns are, what your worries are, what your troubles are. But if parents can make time and listen to their children, they will know what troubles or what trouble their children. This point clarifies that we need to have parents who listen when their children complain about bullying. This is the next point. The next thing is, what else can parents do to help our children in order to be able to deal with bullying? What do parents have to do further? The other thing is, if parents see that something is wrong to their children, they must keep on asking. What type of parents can we be if we don't keep asking our children? But we know how it's like. You don't like talking. Whenever there's something wrong and you're afraid, you end up not trusting your parents. What happens when your parents ask you? Nothing more, nothing pa, when there is something wrong. Now let's have a look at what other thing should parents do. You see, it's your parents, if they see that something is wrong and the children do not talk about it, they should keep on asking until they find out. Persistence really helps the parents. And you can't let your child, there is nothing like nothing in life. If a child keeps on saying there's nothing, we know there's something wrong. Now that's what parents can do. The next thing that parents need to do is actually to speak to other parents about the bullying. It is very important. This is the next thing. All these things keep indicating to what parents need to do to deal with bullying. And this is what we need to deal with as parents. Now the next thing that we must actually look at is, what should parents further do? Remember, we need 7 points. And I hope you're counting how many points we already have. Now the next thing that we need to deal with is, if one child is being bullied, it is likely that other children are also being bullied. If the school denies that anything is wrong, parents should insist on an investigation. So that means parents must keep on investigating what are the causes of bullying at the school for the sake of their children. Now we have come to the end of our text. And my last line underlining is at the end of the text. Let's see how many points we have. Remember, the question says we should be able to list 7 points. This is our first point. This will be our second point. This will be our third point. Actually, it runs from there. Let's rather put it here. That's our third point. And then if we go through that, we want to get another point there, where parents can help with children who lack social skills. Now we have, if they, parents, it's another. But before that, there is another point here, which is our number 4. This point will become our number 5. And if you look at what comes in here, this is where you would be getting your number 6. This would be your number 6. And this would be our last point. Voila! We have now 7 points. And if we have 7 points, what we have done here is we have not used our own words. Let's remember that. Now, for us to be able to use our own words, if you leave out words in the sentences that are already in the text, and you are able to simplify some of the sentences such that the meaning is not lost, you are succeeding in using your own words. If you take the words as they appear in a text, you are lifting. And like I said earlier, that is a mistake. You are copying, you are quoting. And the question says, use your own words as far as possible. Now, what you need to do is look at your sentences and get rid of some of the words that might not be important in that sentence. When you are able to do that, you are able to deal with a summary, writing it in your own words. The next thing that you need to do after having your 7 points, listing them, remember, one after the other, that's listing. And you are able to ensure that at the end of every line, for example, if you count there and you have used your own words, not as we have them here, and maybe you have 14 words there, and then somewhere there you have used 11. These are not actual, remember. And then you have 13 there, and whatever there, and then perhaps something there, and then something here, 9 there, and then you add. At the end, you put down, let's assume, for argument's sake, you have used 65 words. If you have done all these things, you have actually understood the instruction. You have used your own words as far as possible. You have been able to list 7 facts. You have written this in a sequence of one after the other.
Lincoln.
All right,
Lincoln,
Bully.
Lincoln. I think this is getting exciting. I'm sure we want to go back to paraphrasing the words, sentences, so that they don't use their own words. Mm-hmm. And then we can avoid the quoting thing as we warn them again.